Hey, thanks for joining me. You know me, I love me some Savage Dragon, and I would normally kind of space these out a little bit, but um, I just love these next couple of issues coming up. They're some of the best issues he's ever done. Um, in a way, it might even be my favorite issues out of the entire series. It's just such a, it's like all the silliness and insanity of the dragon is just kind of culminating and peaking here in a way. As I was reading this one and the next issue, I was almost thinking like, in a way, he could have almost structured this, and this could have been the end of the Savage Dragon story, and it would have been hilarious and awesome. I didn't want it to end because, like I've said, Dragon up to issue 75 was like my favorite comic book, or one of my absolute favorite comic books ever, and it was just firing on all cylinders at all times. And once we passed issue 75, it changed wildly and never recovered, and I still collect it, and I'm not sure why. But I love what I love when it was out, and we're going to keep talking about it. In the last issue, Dragon got his arms blown off, captured by the Fiend, who's been a character that's been chasing him since the first two or three issues of the regular series, and here we are in issue 30. And the Fiend caught him, and they took him to a scientist, magician, evil person, something or other, and they killed him. They electrocuted him to send his ass to hell, which is why on the cover he's in hell and Spawn is there. I don't know that these guys coordinated this, or if it was just kind of like McFarlane and Larson kind of looked at each other and were like, hey, I'm going to be sending my character to hell. And like, oh my gosh, bud, I'm going to be sending Spawn to hell too, bud. And they're like, oh my God, we should cross him over. Like, did they plan that? Or was it just kind of like where the stories ended up at the same time? Because there was an issue of Spawn where Spawn runs into Dragon in hell and they have a little adventure and each one of them just kind of got to do their own thing. It'd be kind of curious to know if that was planned or just kind of like, oh my God, hey, we're both doing the same thing. Let's do a thing. Why not? So yeah, Dragon in hell, gonna meet up with Spawn. So the first page is basically a recap of everything that's been going on. Dragon disappeared. All this stuff happened. We can't find him. We've been searching for weeks, 2 weeks. We found no traces. We have to acknowledge the possibility that he might be dead. Now, this scene is coming up several times where the cops are like, Dragon's vanished and we don't know where he's at. He might be dead. And as he says that he might be dead, the entirety of all the cops, they all start laughing. They're like, oh, bullshit. The Dragon never dies. He'll show up. He's probably laying low because he knocked up his girlfriend. It's crazy. No one believes that Dragon's dead. No one's taking it serious. It's just like, this happens on occasion. So, getting into it, we just jump straight into it. Dragon is in hell, falling through the flames and destruction and horribleness that is hell, including Spawn. He's like, we're gonna die. And Spawn says, shut up, you idiot. We're already dead. We're in hell. I have to say, if you've if you've watched my channel, you know that I love Dragon and I do not care for Spawn. I like McFarlane. I think Spawn as a concept is fine, but as that comic went on, good God, did it just oh God, it got unreadable. There's very few people I seem to run into that go, oh my God, it's so well written. There are some people who think the stories are great. I think the stories are fucking trash garbage. It's so boring, but it's just not for me. But everyone seems to acknowledge that they love the art on it. And the art's always been good, even if I don't particularly care for it as a style choice on Spawn. Not my thing. I don't care for the character of Spawn the way he's written. And the way that Eric Larson portrays Spawn in this book, he's just a stick in the mud, like, pain in the ass. Now, that kind of fits Spawn's character. He's tortured and he likes to sit in alleyways and cry a lot. Dragon, the funny thing about this story is that Eric Larson is on a personal level, he's a complete like atheist. He doesn't believe in this shit at all. But he's not going to like miss the opportunity to draw a story sending a character to hell and meet devil or the devil, Satan or God or whatever, because what an adventure to have. what I think is funny is that Dragon never for one moment believes that this is real. He thinks he's just dreaming. So Dragon doesn't take this shit seriously. As we get into the story, you'll see he's just like, this is so dumb. I'm dreaming. I'm hallucinating. So he's just like, whatever, I'll just go along with it. And Spawn is so sick of Dragon shit, and Dragon gets so sick of Spawn shit. It's a really funny dynamic. It's something that I've never really, to my recollection, ever seen anybody do, where you send a character to hell and they just don't believe that it's the case. They're like, no, I'm not dead. This is stupid. They slam down onto the ground, smash right into the rocks. At least Dragon does. Spawn gently floats to the ground, and Dragon says, oh, nice, your cape does all the work. Good deal. Any idea where a guy can get one of those? So Larson does the best Spawn speech patterns that you could possibly come up with to be completely character accurate, and it reads just like Spawn. It's fucking boring and tedious and uninteresting. So Larson nailed Spawn perfectly. Spawn, of course, he has to sit here and kind of give an explanation of who he is and what's going on. Spawn says, you've come to the right place. Hey, I know you. You're the Dragon, that freak cop from Chicago. I've seen you on TV. You seem to be taking this rather well. Dragon's like, what? What? Oh, you mean being in hell? This isn't hell. I'm not really in hell. This is some crazy dream. I'm not dead. And besides, heaven and hell are a load of crap. There's no such thing as... Wait. Oh, man, you're right. This must be hell. That piped-in music sounds like Michael Bolton and Yoko Ono singing a duet. He's like, ha. She's like, yeah, this must be hell, because that's the worst music I've ever heard. And so Dragon looks around. He's like, oh, look, it's George Burns. I knew he was going to go to hell for all those god-awful Oh God movies. And so he just runs off happily. He's like, maybe I can get his autograph. And Spawn has just got his fist balled up, and Spawn's pissed because Spawn knows that there's hell and that there's the devil, and he's in hell, which is miserable for Spawn, and Dragon's there, and Dragon just thinks it's a joke. He's not taking it seriously, so Spawn is just like pissed off. But the way that Dragon is just like smiling, he's like, this is so fucking dumb. I don't believe this for a second. Let's just go about our business. We cut over to back in the real world, Dragon's girlfriend, Rapture. They're having a conversation about the fact that she's pregnant with Dragon's child, or at least we think it's the Dragon's child. We don't know, but the doctor's saying, this is a superhuman fetus. It could start kicking its way through your guts and killing you. You might want to consider aborting it. And she's like, no, I can't do that. This is Dragon's kid. It has to be. I have to have this baby so we can see that it's his, so we can be together like we're supposed to. Back in hell, Dragon's just seeing a pit of the damned. He says that. How quaint. A big pit of the damned writhing in agony. Nice touch. Spawn, again, he's just like pissed off. He's like, believe what you will, Dragon. You're in hell. It's very real. Dragon's like, oh yeah? And just whose lawyer were you, pal? And then you hear a voice say, Dragon, bastard, I knew you'd show up here eventually. Now I can make you pay, you son of a bitch. So this is the physical human body of Overlord, the supervillain character from the original first several issues of the Dragon comic that was a super badass. And Dragon ended up eventually killing him finally. And so now here he is in hell, but he's just the human body portion. And so as he dives at Dragon, he just bounces off him. Dragon just stands there and he just bounces off him. And Spawn says, wasn't that Antonio Seghetti, the mafia boss? Meanwhile, back up on the surface, the Fiend herself and the evil magician guy that killed Dragon, like Dragon's body is hanging right here and his blood is dripping. And in his blood, in a reflection, the Fiend and these guys can see into hell and see that Dragon is not suffering. He's having a good old time. And so she's pissed off. She's like, he's not suffering. He's supposed to be suffering. The devil promised me that he'd suffer. So he's like, well, maybe if you actually killed the Dragon, it may require more than a mere soul for Dragon to suffer to the full extent. You may have to actually kill him. So she freaks out. She says, not until I'm sure that he'll burn in hell for all eternity. I won't have him go to heaven and be with my little girl. I won't have it. So she looks at Dragon's dead body. She says, hell really is too good for you, bastard. That does it. I'm going in. I've got to make an appeal to the devil himself. Send me down there, old man. It's payback time. So the Fiend wants to go to hell to finish the job. Because Dragon, he's down there having a good old time. We're not going to abide by that. So back in hell, in traditional classic Spawn fashion, he's standing there screaming and crying and grunting and lamenting. And it's boring. He's like, Malbolgia tricked me. Malbolgia ruined everything. I may have made a wreck of my life. Malbolgia ruined my death. I've got to get out of here. Get Malbolgia. And Dragon's just listening. He's like, the heat's really not all that bad. It's the humidity that's getting me. You don't happen to know where thermostats are at around here, do you? And then Dragon's just kind of sighs. He's like, do you have a deck of cards or something in that big cape of yours? It looks like we're going to be here a while. No? And so Dragon just keeps looking at Spawn as Spawn just keeps ranting on. Dragon's like, I didn't catch the name, pal. What did you say it was? What did you say it was, pal? Listen, big guy. Why don't you lighten up a bit? This grim and gritty stuff only goes so far. Yeah, it might strike terror into the hearts of evildoers, but I'm not an evildoer, and a guy can only take so much of that bit. I feel like that's Larson talking to McFarlane. He's like, yeah, this grim and gritty shit, it might work for a second, but you got to fucking lighten up on it. He continues, you want to talk about your problem, pal? I'm willing to listen. It's not like that pit of suffering dudes over there are going to be any bigger laughs. I'm all ears, really. And Spawn just says, shut up. Just shut the hell up. Again, I love it. Dragon don't give a shit. He doesn't believe it. And Spawn wants to whine and cry and bitch and moan. And Dragon ain't having it. Back in the real world, we got one of the cops. Howard is his name, and this is kind of a big breakdown of how he beat the shit out of some superpowered people, and he's going to get in trouble for it because he's basically kind of a racist jerk off, and he's going to be in trouble, and he's not sure how he's going to survive these problems that he's got. But while that's going on, his partner, this cop, Phil is his name. Last name is Dirt. Phil Dirt. And no, I'm not exaggerating. That's literally his name. He has got problems of his own. He says, I've got AIDS and nothing's working. I'm going to die. So Howard, even though he's a big kind of jerk off of a human being, he kind of likes this guy. And they get along. And so Phil has an idea. He says at the hospital, they've got a lot of the dragon's blood saved for when he gets, beat up and, he comes in from fighting all these villains and he's lost a lot of blood. They have liters of saved blood for the dragon that they can pump into him to save his life. And he's like, I want you to go to the hospital and steal some of Dragon's blood. The dragon can heal from anything. Maybe if I get a transfusion from Dragon's blood, maybe that'll heal me. And the guy's like, well, it might turn you to some kind of freak. And he's like, I'm going to die. I'll take that chance. So that's a really interesting concept that, again, I don't know I've seen any other kind of superhero comics tackle that idea. At least at this point when I was reading this. Like, yeah, you have a character who can rapidly heal from anything. Why not get a blood transfusion and see what happens? Why not? Back in hell, the fun stuff, Spawn is just whining and complaining and bitching still. He says, you don't get it, do you? There isn't normal here. I lost 5 years of my life thanks to Malbolgia. 5 years. I've got to get him now. I've got to get out of this level and up to the next. I don't have time for your friggin' bullshit. So I like how Dragon, again, he's in hell, so he's naked, so this panel covers up his little tiny butt cheeks right here. That's kind of funny. Dragon says, right, now you're going to tell me you've got nothing but time, pal. I don't see any escalator pointing that direction. Do you want to pound the poop out of me? Go right ahead. I've got nothing better to do. But remember, I'm not Malbolgia, and this isn't getting you any closer to him. Like, Eric Larson's going out of the way to have Dragon not be able to pronounce the devil's name, that Malbolgia. I assume I'm pronouncing it right. But Dragon can't. And Dragon, he's like, Malbolgia, it's Malbolgia, and I've got to get to him, but we're trapped here. Trapped. And he says, we've been deserted. And the hours, the days are ticking away, left to be bored out of our minds. as Spawn sits there and like flexes his fingers over his glowing eyes in traditional boring Spawn fashion. So Dragon, again, the guy who just doesn't give a shit, he's like, that's just peachy. So what are you in for? And Spawn just says, screw you. I like this face shot there and this big hand as he's pointing for. He's like, screw you. Spawn says, just because I'm not kicking your ass right now doesn't mean we're friends. I made a deal with Malbolgia so I could see my wife again, but he cheated me. Son of a bitch changed me so damn much. Wanda couldn't even recognize me. Blah, 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 blah. Just like a Spawn comic, it goes on and on and on, and he's just basically given a lore dump to the uninitiated, I would guess. So you understand Spawn's point of being. But man, does it just unnecessary. So Dragon, because Spawn ends, he's like, I'm babbling like an idiot to a psychotic nincompoop. That's what Spawn says. And so Dragon's like, I'm just trying to make conversation. So any idea where this Mal Bagla guy's hanging out at? I mean, Magbuza? Malabassa? Like, he just can't fucking say the name right. I think it's hilarious. Dark pinup by Joseph Zakaris? I'm going to say that wrong. That's pretty good. It's not my favorite kind of artwork. And then, again, this is in such traditional Spawn kind of tradition. A big giant face shot, and he's just going on and on and on. He's like, Malbolgia, he gave me powers, but they had a limit. When my power is depleted, I come back to hell. Wanda's husband was sick, so blah, 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 blah. Just explaining what's been going on in the Spawn comic. I get the need for it. Again, if Spawn's here and you don't read it, you want to know why this guy's here and what his point of the reason for his existence is. But God, is it just... it's just tedious to read. But it's also funny when it's in a Dragon comic because I just feel like, Larson's just making fun of this shit. I do like that big Spawn face. It's a lot more creepy, it's a different kind of creepy way to render it than I think Capullo was doing at the time. But it looks good. But anyway, bitch and moan. And Dragon, he literally couldn't care less. He says, nice yarn, bravo. I'm practically blubbering over here. Make one hell of a movie. Now, that wasn't so bad, was it? Isn't it nice to let it all out? I think we've all learned a little something here. He's like, oh, wait, will you excuse me for a second, pal? Saghetti is starting to get up and coming, and he says, okay, start over. Saghetti is starting to get up, and after consuming all that beer, coffee, and watermelon, I've got just the thing to cool him down. And so Dragon turns and goes and walks off, and he says, hey, you looking at me? He's like, he's going to go piss on the guy. Dragon don't give a shit, and he's just having a great time. I was laughing out loud the first time I was reading this. As that happens, the Fiend itself, zaps into hell. She says, playtime is over. It's time to redefine pain. And Dragon, he's like, oh, this ought to be a hoot. Back in the real world, we've got Alex, the girl cop that's been in the book from the very beginning. And she sort of, for half a moment, developed a sort of relationship with this guy who was a fireman. And this is just to kind of break that whole story up. And these two haven't been a thing for a long time. And so she's sitting there listening to this long rant about, he's like, our relationship's over. I thought we had something, but I've met somebody else, and she's everything I've always wanted. And she's like, man, shut the fuck up. We've been done for forever. I haven't talked to you in a long time. This is probably just a ploy of yours to try and win me back. She's like, leave me alone, fuck off, and don't ever come back again. It's just a weird little interesting single page to wrap up that little story point that Erik Larsen had going for a minute. Again, back to the interesting stuff. In hell, the Fiend, she says, I want you two to fight to determine which one of you will advance to the next level. The winner advances, the loser will spend the rest of eternity here and will join the pitiful souls who are trapped forever, enduring unimaginable pain in the fiery depths of hell. Fight, you pathetic maggots, fight. And so Spawn, who wants to get out of hell, he has to. He looks at Dragon. He's about to say, I'm sorry, Dragon. Like, he's going to be like, okay, We have to do this. This is my way out of here. I'm going to have to fight you. And Dragon, he just jokingly lays on the ground. He's like, oh, you got me, partner. I'm down. Spawn's like, well, what are you doing? Dragon's like, my head's spinning. I like this shot. It's just his toes and his body's he's laying on the ground and his hand up there. He's like, my head's spinning. Everything's going black. Or is that dark navy? It's hard to tell in this light. And Spawn's like, what? Are you okay? And Dragon's like, nope, you beat me, pal. Ascend already. Go on, beat it. And the Fiend doesn't like that at all. She's like, that's not fair. Dragon says, sure it is. I give up. I surrender. I quit. What do I care? This is the guy who wants to get out of here. I couldn't care less. I don't mind this level. Well, except for that Muzak. That I can do without. Okay. The rice cakes are a bit bland. But besides that, again, Dragon doesn't give a shit. He's just having a great time. And Spawn's like, I hope you know what you're doing. And Dragon's like, sure I do. I'm dreaming, pal. Heaven and hell are a bunch of hooey. I must have dozed off while watching some brilliant expose on the 700 Club. Hell, what a load of crap. Get out of here, pal. So Dragon's like, yep, fight's over. I surrender. You win. I love this shot down here, this very scratchy line work of the Fiend bursting with rage coming at Dragon. It's very different from the kind of the slicker work that Larson's doing up here. This sketchy thing, I think that looks awesome. I really love it. The line work helps portray the rage and insanity of this creature. And then Spawn, because he technically followed the rules, him and Dragon did, Spawn just poofs, vanishes, and he's gone. Which I'm actually kind of fine with, because he's kind of a stick-in-the-mud, boring guy. And Dragon's like, see you later, pal. If you get back to Earth, look me up. I'll be that well-rested-looking cop hanging out in Chicago. And he continues, Dragon does. He says, I just wish you'd just wise up, lady. I didn't kill Debbie. Arnold Dimple did it. Get it? Debbie answered the door and he shot her. I didn't answer the door. I should have answered my own door, granted, but I didn't kill her. And the Fiend says, I'm not responsible for her death. I didn't kill Debbie. I didn't kill her. Dragon said, I never said you did. Now, if you're going to attack me, get on with it. I'm tired of this routine. So, excuse me. The Fiend kind of when she kind of loses her focus, starts turning into this big, fat, blubbery version of a monster, not the hot, skinny girl body. Dives at the Dragon. He just jumps and gets out of the way. And Dragon says, for some reason, I feel really vigorous down here. I think the heat's helping clear out my sinuses. He says, watch your feet, babe. Sagetti's managed to wiggle free out of the pit again. You don't know how hard it is to scrape that kind of crap off your shoe. And so Sagetti, once again, has climbed out of the pit of damnation. He's like, Dragon bastard, I'll kill you. And the Fiend says, a kindred spirit, how nice. Be a deer, sick him. And so, again, Sagetti crawling out of the hellhole. The Fiend puts her hand forward and says, sick him. And then you get this last page here of Sagetti in the Overlord armor, like super spiked out. It's like a hell version of the Overlord armor. Says, you have earned my eternal gratitude, my dear. Overlord is reborn, and the Dragon will suffer as he's never suffered before. And Dragon's like, if I'm gonna wake up any minute now. I just know I am. And that's where this issue ends. Because Overlord was like the toughest opponent Dragon's ever faced. And now he's in hell with super hell powers. This is going to be tough, in theory. As much as I would like to just jump right into the next issue, I'm going to hold off for at least a minute, but I do want to show one thing. I didn't know it the first time I read this, but looking at it compositionally, it's a little weird to have Overlord's arm cut off right there on the page. The average reader might not look at that and think that it's a problem. But Larson did something very specific here. I'm going to flip open the next issue, and page 1. So this is the inside cover. Or, you got the front cover, the inside, and then the first page, you got the Fiend there all ballooned up into the big, fat, gross creature with the big, giant monster tits. But I was like, I remember when I got this, I'm like, what the fuck is with the arm? I was like, oh, these are a combined image. Like, look how they just sync right up perfectly. I've never seen anybody do that. Have the last page of one issue and the first page of the next issue be the double page spread. That looks awesome. I don't know that it. I guess I kind of get the idea of wanting to try it. To my knowledge, Larson's never replicated this. It's kind of weird, but it's interesting. I've never seen it. I mean, this is what the last page, the double page spread of the last this issue should end like, I think. But he split it between the end of one issue and the beginning of another. I just can't get over those giant monster jugs and the zipatone under it. But yeah, that's how the next issue starts. And this issue, God and the Devil, brilliant. It's absolutely hilarious. But that's it for Spawn meeting up with Dragon. That's the first time. Is that the only time that Dragon and Spawn ever met? I don't know. There's probably some crossover issue, Mars Attacks or some shit, where maybe they ran into each other. But this is the first time they met. And, Larson makes it fun. He knows how to write Spawn. Just make him boring and stupid, and you've got the characterization down perfectly. So, fun stuff. Very enjoyable. I love this stuff so much. Dragon number 30. Good times. Can't wait to get to 31 where the devil literally kicks God straight in the nuts. It's hilarious. That's all I've got for now. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.